Hey, Monique.
Hi.
Hi. I just want to tell you how grateful I am for you.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I have you in my gratitude practice because
Aw.
I see you a lot and we do a lot together,
Yes.
and I'm grateful for that opportunity. And there's never one time that we work together, hang out together, spend time together that I'm not grateful for what comes out of that.
Aw.
And I sincerely believe that people don't share their gratitude or their
Mm.
gratefulness enough for themselves, for others, for all that they have in this one wild and precious life. And I want to talk about that today.
I think that's a great idea.
So I hope our listeners are as excited about this topic as I am. And let's get started. Welcome to Heart and Soul, the podcast where we empower and inspire women to lead their best lives, harnessing the power of their hearts and souls. We are Mariah
And Monique,
your hosts and guides on this journey of self-discovery and personal growth.
in each episode, we will dive deep into topics that matter most to you, from self-love and confidence to career development, relationships, and everything in between. We believe that every woman has a unique strength and inner wisdom waiting to be unleashed.
Join us as we cover insightful heart and soul-centered topics and interview incredible women who've overcome challenges, chased their dreams, and found their true purpose. Through all of this, you will discover practical tips, strategies, and real-life stories to help you navigate life's twists and turns.
For whatever season of life you're in, this podcast is your safe space to explore, learn, grow, and possibly even laugh and cry with us. So grab your headphones, maybe your favorite drink, and we'll embark on this transformative journey together.
With heart, I'm Mariah.
And with soul, I'm Monique.
Okay, so gratitude practice is a little buzzwordy, right? This is
Sure.
something that has become pretty commonplace to talk about. Like, well, do you have a gratitude practice? It's almost in line with meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to tell a little story today about my own journey with a gratitude practice and the concept of gratitude. Um, and then just talk about how it interacts with both of our lives, and some things that our listeners could be thinking about in developing their own gratitude practice or relationship with gratitude, whatever that looks like for them. So I'm going to take you back to late 1990s.
Back in the day.
I was a freshman in college, far away from home for the first time, very far away. And sadly, my grandfather passed away.
Aw.
And he was probably, I mean, we were just connected in the soul. I was no doubt favorite grandchild. Like, we were always side by side connected, like the closest person that I had. So it was very difficult for me to have not been there for the last
Oh.
part of his life. And I definitely remember when I left for college, he was the last person I said goodbye to at home. And like, I just kind of knew. I just kind
Yeah.
of knew. So it was really, really, really rough to find that out, that he had passed at school and have to run home. And it was the week of Thanksgiving. And so I had to quickly catch a flight home for the funeral and then celebrate Thanksgiving amongst all of this. And it was just like it was a very difficult time. It was the first time I personally had really confronted a loss. Well, I believe because it was the week of Thanksgiving, I was I was home. I was watching Oprah because that's what you did back then.
She
And
is the best.
I know. And
Yes.
I remember the TV was on in the kitchen. I think we were, I don't know, maybe preparing for Thanksgiving the next day, something like that. And she had a guest on there, and her name was Sarah Ban Brethnock. And the fact that I can remember
Yes.
that complicated name to this day, like,
That's
without a
crazy.
problem.
Right.
Um, and she was talking about a gratitude practice. And I
Okay.
remember just sitting there listening to this and hearing her out about all the reasons this gratitude practice could change your life.
Okay.
And I'm in my college brain, having just gone through this loss, like thinking, I think I'm gonna need that. I'm I need something right now. I'm
Mhm.
going to need something to pull me back out of the low that I'm in.
Oh.
And so I remember planning while I was home to go to Barnes and Noble to find this book. I had to find the book
Sure.
and I needed to take it back with me. And so I did, and I really credit that book, that practice, her words with teaching me at that young age how to work myself back out of a bad place using gratitude
I love it.
and a gratitude practice. And it's something that I've recognized I'm I don't do it every day.
Mhm.
I'm not as diligent
Right.
or um like committed to this everyday practice.
Mhm.
However, I know that it's the first thing that I go to in my times of need. So that really resonated with me in terms of like how powerful of a tool it is that
Mm.
I know when I'm in my toughest
Darkest. Yep.
situations, that if I go back to a practice of journaling gratitude,
Okay.
reading about it, expressing it, I'm instantly feeling better. So I just wanted to talk to you today and to share with our listeners that story because why wouldn't I want a tool that's so easily accessible and
Yeah.
valuable
And free.
and free, um, not to share that? And again,
Right.
it's buzzwordy, but what does it really mean? Like, what does it really mean to have a practice? What does
Mhm.
gratitude,
'Cause it's gonna be
really look
different for
like in your
everyone.
life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
So that was a conversation that I was excited to have with you today. And ironically, as we were discussing prepping for this conversation, and anybody listening, not watching the video isn't going to be able to see this, but I'll explain. I looked down at the journal that I have that I keep my notes in for this
Yes.
podcast, and it literally says, "All good things come from gratitude."
I mean, come
It's
on.
like,
We
"Oh,
we we
oh,
we
this is
yeah.
spot on, spot
Yes.
on." So, um, I just yeah, I'm excited to dive a little bit deeper into the topic. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and your own relationship with a gratitude practice, and if you have any stories that come to mind that you can think of where this relates for you.
Yeah, I use gratitude practices and gratitude journals a lot with my coaching clients because I similarly believe that when you're in a negative headspace or just life situations, focusing on what it is that is working gets your mind off what is not working.
Mhm.
Not out of a way of dismissing what's not working, but out of a way of, okay, you're really down in the dumps. Life is just hitting you hard, but there's got to be something. You're breathing, for Pete's sakes. So a lot of times I will offer or gift gratitude journals and ask my
Mhm.
clients every night or morning, whatever works best for them, to write down 5 things that they're grateful for. And they can be as little and as insignificant as possible because it does shift you vibrationally. So if we talk
Yes.
about like how feelings and emotions are energy, right? And like depression is a lower vibrating emotion. And the work that I do works a lot on vibration and where we're kind of at in our lives. And people are coming to me because they're going through something hard, or they don't have to be, but maybe they're stuck on something hard. The energy of gratitude is a higher vibrational state, and it's easily accessible because I can name off 3 things right now, like my grandchildren, super grateful for them, and I think joyously the moment I even think about them. So,
Yes.
just by thinking about it, just by saying, "What am I grateful for?" My grandchildren, oh my gosh, I could go on and on and on about how special of humans they are and how amazing they are, and it shifts me, right?
Yep.
If I'm down in the dumps. It is a jump from really low, but it's better than staying really low and going lower and lower. So the Buddhists are no, I read this a long time ago, so I'm not going to get it 100% correctly, but they did some studies on monks who had a practice. I don't believe they were Buddhists. I think there was some other lineage. They had a practice, and they would right away, first thing in the morning or at night, at the end of their day Either at the end of the day, they'd list off 5 things they were grateful for. In the morning, they'd state 5 things they were grateful for. What they noticed when they did it at night is they would wake up in a happier state because
Mm,
of that energy vibration of gratitude. And then when they would do it first thing in the day, that would also set the tone for their day. So it's not like this magic thing, but it also does kind of set you up for being in a positive mind state, set of whatever. And so I totally believe in it. Now, do I do it all the time? No. But like you, sometimes when I'm just really not in a good place, even just day to day, it doesn't have to be the passing of a loved one. It can be
mhm.
something as insignificant of like things aren't going my way for whatever various reasons. Um, I try to remind myself, okay, it's not that bad. And then see, you've got grandchildren. I keep going back to
Yes.
them because they're so awesome. You've got, 2 homes, you've got a really cute dog, just listing off all of the things. And it does help. So,
It brings it back into perspective, the positive of what you have in your life versus the negative headspace that maybe you're in or could go to.
absolutely.
And it's a through line through a lot of the conversation that we have is whatever you can do to get in a positive headspace
Mm,
or positive mindset
mm.
is going to help you move forward in pursuit of your goals or in pursuit of the life that you're trying to build. And so gratitude is one of the most effective ways to switch back into that positive
Yes.
headspace. I want to read just want to read a little bit about some of the practices and
Yeah, because
the
let's bring it to the real
specificness
world.
of gratitude.
Right. Yeah.
So gratitude, I'll read from this, our trusty friend, Google. Gratitude practice is a way to show appreciation and thanks for the people, places, and things in life that bring joy.
Mm.
You said this with talking about your grandchildren. You immediately were like, just thinking about them brings me joy.
Yes.
That's a really important part of this because I think that when a person starts a gratitude practice, and I've totally done this, you're sitting there with your journal and you're like, grateful for the grass. I'm grateful for, like, you can kind of struggle at first to like
Mhm.
know what to be grateful for because the world is so big and complicated. And you think almost that the obvious things aren't what comes to mind.
Sure.
But the focus on the gratitude for the things that bring you joy.
Yes.
Right? That's a
That's a
really
key.
important key
Yes.
in having that practice be more effective than
Mm.
just like, "I'm grateful for the glass of water." I
Grateful
mean,
for
we could
breathing.
be grateful for literally anything,
Yes.
right? Because it's all part of our human experience, but if you're focused on the joy and also to know you could write the same 5 things in your journal every single day. That
Mm.
would be okay too. Like, if
Mm.
these are the things that bring you joy, continue to practice gratitude for them. There's no shame in that.
Yes.
And so I really love that concept of if you're struggling in the beginning, especially of starting to share gratitude, maybe in a journal or with somebody else, with a loved one, is like thinking about the things that bring you joy and starting with those. That and then it's almost works itself out where more things begin to bring you joy
Mm.
because your eyes are open to all of the abundance in your life, and you begin to feel joy even beyond the obvious.
Right, like that adage of saying, like, "What you focus on grows." I feel like that's
Yes.
so true, right? Like, if you focus on joy, then your joy grows. I love that.
Gratitude is more than just being polite. That's really
Mm.
important. It's not just the saying, thank you when
Oh,
you're
got it.
having a polite interaction, maybe in
Sure.
service, or that's important. That is an important part of just manners, right?
Right.
But a gratitude practice is more than just politely saying thank you. So
Okay.
I think that's an important thing to separate for
Okay.
people when you think about developing it as a
Yeah, well, I say
practice.
thank you. Right.
Yeah. Well, and I think about that with like my family or at home, there can be a misconception around like we can get into this greater too, but like thanks for doing the dishes.
Yes.
That is a different sentiment than like I'm really grateful that I have help in household tasks.
Oh, I love that.
So it's like just saying the thank you is different than a gratitude practice.
Makes sense.
It involves recognizing the positive and good and bad times. And a gratitude practice can have many benefits, including improved mental health. So we've already kind of touched on that. Like it can help pull you out of a darker
Right.
place into just more energetically high vibration.
Yes.
Increased resilience, focusing on positive aspects can improve your overall resilience and well-being. And resilience is really about like how quickly you can move through the highs and the
I love
lows.
talking about resilience because I think a lot of people avoid a lot of hard things, but we forget hard things helps us build more resilience.
It's a cycle,
Yes.
right? And the
Yes.
faster that you can move through the cycle, the less really painful and the more able you are to move through challenging things and fears in life. And then it actually can have better physical health uh,
Interesting.
implications. So, grateful people may be more likely to take care of themselves, such as exercising more, and overall leading to just better physical health. So, that is an interesting
That
one. Like,
is.
it, again, cyclically, if you're in a more positive mindset, you're probably more likely to work on yourself, invest in yourself. You have more energy, more just get up and go to take care of
Right.
yourself, and that residually comes back. So, how how can you integrate gratitude in your life? So, being that it
Mhm.
isn't just about being polite, it's not just
Right.
saying thank you more,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's an actual practice, and whether you use it every day before you go to bed and when you wake up, like the monks, or you go to it in your time of need. I mean, again, whatever feels right for you in your own practice. Um, it's kind of it's a nice thing to be thinking about when you don't need it
Mhm.
necessarily, so that you can start it and be prepared for it when you might need it the most.
So I love what you said. Thanks, Googs. But the one thing how do you show what do you think would be a healthy way to show it to loved ones, right?
Yeah.
Because I do think yes, to have your own practice is great, but we did chat about this a little bit. How you should journal it, you should write it out for yourself, so
Mhm.
you yourself can be in the state of gratitude. But is it important to share? Because I feel like sometimes that's actually where we miss.
Yep.
And people don't know what we're thinking or feeling inside because we're like, well, I have a gratitude practice, but apparently I'm
Right?
hoarding it to
I
myself
don't
and no one knows that I'm grateful for them.
I don't tell anyone. I just read it in my
Right.
journal.
I don't tell my grandchildren I like them. In fact, it's the opposite. Just kidding. I do. I tell them I do, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's such a great prompt because I had a recent experience where I was debating, okay, follow this. uh, Household tasks. We all have them, right?
Yes,
Especially
we
if we're in a
do.
partnership, a
Uh-huh.
marriage, or a relationship. And think about like the age old adage of like that you have the woman's at home doing the tasks, the husband's at work.
So a traditional
A very
relationship.
traditional model
Yes.
of gender roles, and you see over time that the wife becomes resentful because she is burdened with these tasks and nobody's expressing gratitude for
Sure.
them because they're just getting done and they're just typical. Okay. Now, in today's society, we are much more split. Traditional gender roles absolutely still exist. However, we're often more sharing those amongst partners and splitting them in different ways. Now for myself, I was coming at my partnership, my marriage, with the notion that there was like gratitude wasn't necessary to express for these tasks that were just a requirement of
Life.
life.
Yes.
I'm like, I don't need to thank you every time you do the laundry. Just do the damn laundry,
Right.
right?
Right.
Or I don't need to be thanked every time I make dinner. I'm just making dinner.
I
And for
do.
whatever reason, I just had in my head that why were we worrying so much about like this was some big overture that I did for you, or like, well, that one time I did the laundry and I'm like, well, cool. Like I just expect that, right?
Right.
And it was really like I was looking for people to back me up in this. I was literally asking people because this was a debate going on within my marriage. And
So, can I ask a
yes,
clarifying question? Was your partner kind of like expecting it, or like, does that make sense?
yes,
Like
he
why don't
was
you say thank
basically
you?
saying, like, I would be way more apt to do these things if I felt that you
Ah,
were more grateful for them.
that okay,
Okay.
okay. So this is the debate.
And I'm like, why do you need my gratitude? You just need to understand that it's part of your contribution to this family,
Sure.
right? Okay. Well, flash forward. I'm looking for allies in my fight because I like to win, like to be right.
How's that working?
Well, I ultimately hit a conversation where the person really put me in my place and said, "I think what's somewhat missing in our society
Mm,
is a deep gratitude for the most basic tasks and shared household activities. And what's the downside of bringing warmth to the most basic things that are caretaking tasks?" Damn, that stopped me in my tracks.
right.
Caretaking tasks. Think about that. Like, as we age and as we need more care, and the reason that we're in partnership in marriage is because we are choosing this person ultimately to be our caretaker and to be their caretaker.
Sure.
And as we age in marriage, we're going to get to the place where, like, it's going to get harder and harder to care for each other.
Mm,
And if we don't develop a gratitude practice and warmth, I love that she kept using that word around appreciation for these really basic things, our relationship's going to suffer. Oh my God, was I
yeah. Mic drop.
speechless.
Yes.
I'm like, "Oh, I've been called out and I cannot
Yeah.
disagree." And it made me think about a book that I read, oh, Melinda Gates' book. I'll have to
Oh
remember the
yeah, I can't
title.
remember the name either, but I read that book,
And
yeah.
she talks a lot about, like, the unpaid work of the female
Yes.
traditionally is, like, 40% of your work, of your life is, like, spent on
Mhm.
just tasks,
Mhm.
household tasks, and unpaid, work, and how, like, lack of gratitude or acknowledgement for that is really difficult for society. So, I'm going a different direction here, but the reality, like, put all that, like, as she's saying this to me, my mind is, like, running through all these things that I have advocated for and believed in and been a champion of
Yeah.
for women, and then I'm like, "Huh, why am I struggling to do that myself?
Interesting.
Why is that hard for me? What is" I was trying to break that down, and I think I had really just put the gratitude so deeply in, like, my own practice, right? Like, the
Mm.
things that did bring me joy and was just, like, my own, and I was not thinking about it in a shared experience,
I
in a
think
partnership.
that's you said everything so well, and it made me think about my life and how you'll have an interaction with someone, you say thank you, right?
Mhm.
And they're like, either some people receive it or they're just kind of brush it off or whatever. But when you intentionally say, you know what, I am so grateful for you like making me dinner tonight
Yes.
and like taking the time and buying this stuff and cooking it and then serving it to me. Like, I can't even tell you how grateful I am. Wow, is that way more welcomed, warmth. It makes the person feel inside warm.
Yes.
That makes so much more sense than "Thanks for dinner," which is also very nice. It's more
Sure. It's
manners.
polite.
It's polite, it's manners. But on these
Yep.
you and I both are deep connectors. We
Mhm.
crave that deep connection, but sometimes I feel like with deep connections, it takes time and life gets in the way. So we're kinda like, "Just do the thing, we're doers," right?
Yep.
But to bring intentionality to it, it just brings this warmth to the other person. I've experienced this as well when I pause, like, actually say the thing. Because even though I feel like they should know it, maybe they don't. And then what I've recognized when I do that with people is I receive it more, meaning they
Yeah.
give it and offer it more. It's not automatic, like, it's not like instantaneous. They're going to turn around and be like, and I'm grateful for you for blah, 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 blah. But I have noticed like it switches from like this hardness to like this gentleness, this softness. And then they kind of like are more open to also doing that same thing, right? So yeah, I
Yes,
love that.
it's a mutual it allows a relationship to grow with mutually aligned energy.
Absolutely.
And I realized, like, with my own relationship that what I was hearing was, "You don't say thank you." And I'm like, "But I do say thank you. I thanked you for that, for making dinner," or whatever the task was. And what he was really saying is, "I don't feel gratitude.
Mm,
I don't feel that you're
difference.
grateful,
Yes.
because those are our 2 different things." And
Mhm.
I then could say, "Oh, well, that is interesting." I could get curious, we talk about that a lot,
Yes.
and say, "Well, that's unfortunate, because I would just assume that you would that you would know
Right.
that I was grateful for it.
Right.
But assuming anything is a bad plan, and I shouldn't just assume, I should just share, and I should be more open and free with the sharing of the times and the places where I am grateful for the love that is shared through the caretaking task."
Yes.
And it's funny because, like, with my mother, that's our relationship is, like, I want nothing more than to go to her house and have her care for me and be so grateful for it. But there was something broken down in my marriage where we were having to figure that out, and, like, we
Mm.
were not hearing or understanding each other about our gratitude. And so it was really helpful to have that aha moment and go, "Okay, like, I do feel that way, so why haven't I been expressing it? Or how could we be expressing it better to each other?" Because it'll create that, like, the mutuality that you just
Mhm.
mentioned, and
Yes.
I'm so grateful for that process because I think that that insight is really gonna help me take that practice off the pages of the journal
Yes. Into
and
real world.
into my real
Yeah.
relationships.
Yes. Yes. Because that's like I think it's like a foundational piece in a relationship. But
Yeah.
somehow we set it there in the beginning and then we never really look at it again. But it probably needs constant attention, care, and just love.
'Cause you think, "Oh, well, you love me, we've
You
chosen
should
each
know.
other.
You should know.
You should just know."
Right.
Like, well, obviously, it's a given, but it turns out it isn't at
It
all,
isn't.
and couples and partnerships go wrong often
Yes.
because that isn't a given. It does change and evolve over time, and if you don't hear it, you don't believe it exists. And shoot, like, I hope if you're listening to this, this is resonating at a level where you see this gratitude practice beyond where we started with this conversation of, having it for your own self and, um, reminder of what brings you joy, but also as a daily practice with your loved ones that, and,
Mhm.
and just people in your life that can
Yes.
really help strengthen relationships.
Yes. I'm so thankful for you and this journey we
Oh,
are on together. I
I
really am.
know.
It's magical. I love it.
Thank you. I mean, when you hear those words from
Right.
somebody, it goes straight to the
I
heart. Like, you
know.
feel it deeply. I work with somebody in our industry, my industry, in the wedding industry, and I remember, like, leaving their office one time after a meeting, and she said to me just like, "I'm just so grateful for you." And it was like, oh, it caught my attention
Yes.
in a different way.
Yes.
And again, it's not something that you just say politely,
Right.
to say it that way. And so yeah, like I started this podcast out. Like, I'm so grateful for what we've built in our friendship and
Yes.
in the work that we're able to do to share these messages with other people and recognizing, like, we just want to shout it from a mountaintop. There are tools, there are things you can do that can constantly, consistently improve your human experience.
Yes.
And it's been this is a topic that I hope will resonate and think about, like, where should I be saying this more? Where should I be recognizing this more? Whether it's in your own practice
Or who
in a
should I be saying this
journal,
to?
whether it's in your
Mhm.
relationships, like, there's no time like the present to start this. It's never too late,
Yeah, I love that.
right? Like,
Yes.
just like many of the things we talk about, it's never too late to turn it. turn the corner on gratitude.
And a reminder, you can start anew every single day, to your point. Every single day you have the choice to be someone different than what you are. So if you feel stuck, try it out. It's not going to hurt and it's free.
It's free. Turns out I want to find this book that I referenced in the beginning. I want to be grateful for Oprah because I do feel like foundationally she taught me a lot early on when that show, like I would catch episodes every time I was home from college. I feel like that's when it would happen. I would catch
Sure.
episodes and I'd be like, that was life-changing. And I really think that not having her on daily is, it's just I miss that. I miss the daily dose of
The
Oprah. So
positivity every
if
day
you're
that she
listening,
brought.
Oprah,
Yeah.
we'd like you to come back on a regular
Don't
4
be
PM
retired.
broadcast. Yeah. But there's a book, Simple Abundance was the name of this book, 365 Days to a Balanced and Joyful Life. Sarah Ban Breathnock. We'll reference that in the show notes.
I think
But
that'd be a good book to get.
Simple Abundance, a day book of comfort and joy. I think that was the one that I bought where it has you writing, daily gratitude practice, and it gives you just like a little prompt and exercise there. And whether it's this book or any, whatever it might be,
Yes.
it just a blank pages of a journal. Start there. Start looking for opportunities to share gratitude in your everyday life and see how it makes you feel. Just see how that practice can change your mindset and change the way you feel and share with us. Like I want to hear from people listening. What did this gratitude practice or listening to this episode on gratitude bring positively into your life?
Yeah, I want to encourage people to take it, like I like to say, to the lab of life.
Yeah.
Try it out. See how you feel. Take notes about it. Be a little scientist on your life, right?
And just like so many of the things that we talk about, it's not going to hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that can really go south on this.
No.
That's the best. I love prescribing things that like can't go south. Just
True.
be grateful because as long as you're alive, there's something to be grateful for. As long as you're breathing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a nice place to wrap up for today's episode. This is just a little short, sweet one. And we hope that anybody listening knows how grateful we are that you have taken your time and tuned in to listen to us muse about different topics. And we hope that this has enriched your life as well. Cheers, friends. You've just finished another episode of the Heart and Soul Podcast. We hope that you've enjoyed the show. And if you've loved it, we would love if you'd leave us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening. You can find links to leave that review in the show notes, where you'll also find other resources that we reference on our show. And if you think a friend could find value in today's episode or any future episodes, please share this episode with them on social media. This is one of the only ways the podcast can organically grow, and we just can't wait to connect with you and all of your besties. You can also find Monique and I on our many social media platforms or our websites, and we're going to leave links to those in the show notes as well. Thank you for listening. We look forward to sharing our hearts and souls with you again next time. With Heart, I'm Mariah.
And with Soul, I'm Monique.